Coming back to today's Spark, so our host is Copeuche, our Chilean member, and the topic that Carlos suggested, I think it's still relevant for all of us and of importance as we are more and more digital, and even we know more and more only digital banks. This is very active. I know also with the youngsters. My daughter doesn't know her bank, but she has a credit bank already without knowing her bank. And the topic about today is how physical banks are still important for some of the stakeholders, some of the members of the cooperative bank's financial system. So, Carlos, the floor is yours. Thank you again for hosting this Spark. And we are quite curious to see how Copeucho balances both worlds. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Valeria, for the presentation, for the introduction. Can you please put the material? Yeah. In order to save myself to do it. Yeah. Well, good morning to everyone. I want to share with you some, because of course it's not all of it, some of the information we got developed across the time in order to solve this kind of dilemma, which is, I would say, present in some geographies. When you, as an institution, think that you should choose between digital or physical, or something in between could be called the digital approach. So we are going to tell you in the coming slides some of the ways we have done it and some of the ways that we think are positive, I mean, in terms of experience of the members. So can you please move to the other slide, Valerie? Thank you very much. Well, we as Copeuch, as a savings and credit cooperative, want to achieve this kind of promise, our service promise, seeks to differentiate ourselves from other actors by always keeping this human contact. I mean, we all know that the digital channel provides the bandwidth for a large number of transactions. I mean, I think that we all agree that we need the digital, because otherwise keeping business working, it would be almost impossible. But the relationships, the territoriality, even the warmth are only possible between people. I think that the human touch is something that we cannot miss in the relationship with the members. And furthermore, we are convinced that the cooperative seal is lived mostly in the branches, I mean physically. Digital channels should be extensions of the branches in the sense of solving simple, lower value transactions. But when the member requires advice to solve a complex problem, or simply getting to know each other and to talk, the role of the branches is key. And regarding the digital channels, of course, a key challenge also is how to bring the cooperative principles in the digital world, because otherwise we can be seen only as another competitor in the market. So if there is no questions, please, we can move to the other slide, considering we have not too much time. Thank you very much, Valeria, again. Well, in this slide, I want to share with you some of the characteristics, some of the features we got as an institution. The number of members, as seen in the first graph, has been growing in the recent years. I mean, we have more than 1 million members. We are reaching the mark of 1.2 million members. And part of the speed of growth has been due to digital enrollment. Again, digital channels are key, are very important in our development. digital enrollment has facilitated the entry of new members who are then approached by COPEUT to satisfy their needs. I mean, it's like when you deploy a net, you got a lot of members and then you approach them in order to know why they are here. COPEUT is also special in terms of regional configuration because while the competition is stronger in Santiago, Santiago is the capital of Chile, is the home to more than 8 million people. We have 73% of the members in regions, I mean in places different from Santiago. And in these territories, life is very different because there are more closeness, physical presence is important, and I would say it's sought by people. And additionally, more than 30% of our corporate base is made up of people over 50 years old. Although some or most of them use the digital media for minor transactions, this profile of member likes to visit, to go physically to our branches and to solve what they require there, I mean, in the branches. So the attentional model, the service model, must be prepared to receive them and to solve their needs quickly and efficiently. I mean, this is not a minor thing because the member distribution by age is way different from other competitors. And you know that this is a kind of not only local, but I would say regional phenomenon in terms that people live more years. And I think that we have to be prepared for that phenomenon. Can you move to the other slide, please, Valeria? Well, then again, here we are going to talk about digitalization and its key important in the business. Maybe you don't know it, but COPEUT until 2018, I think, solved its transaction only through the face-to-face channel, I mean, in the branches. At the end of that year, we began to start the digital operation, and that implied that we saw an exponential increase in the number of transactions over the time, going from just over 4 million or so in 2019 to 22 millions in 2033. 9% of which are digital. I mean, this exponential growth was made mainly in the digital channel. However, the remaining percentage in person, I mean, the number of transactions which are live in the branches is anyway a significant number. It's a big number. I mean, it's close to 2 million or so. And this time transactions, in this time of transactions, members prefer to solve more complex issues, as seen in the table in the left side of the screen. For instance, when these kind of transactions are, I would say, more complex than just to deposit an amount of money, because they are related to obtaining a credit, especially a mortgage, which is a kind of a cumbersome process. It's not very easy. Or review some aspects of both investment and advice and resolution and support in other products. I saw a hand, I think, I'm not quite sure, but maybe I'm mistaken. Yeah, sorry. So what I want to establish here is that this kind of services provided in branches are of high value for COPEUT, especially for developing a strong relationship bond with these members. As well, for the member, it's also important because he feels or she feels that he has a space in our institution and that he or she belongs to something greater. He's not just a number. I mean, when a person leaves the closeness of a branch, maybe they want to repeat, especially in this kind of transactions which are more complex, like especially if you want to apply for a credit, because sometimes the digital options are not very easy, especially for people over 55 years and on. I want to establish here that we have to recognize that if you want to have a huge bandwidth for a lot of transactions, of course, digitalization is key. And the increase in number of transactions, as seen in the graph in the right side of the screen, can testify that. So, I mean, we use both approaches, both kind of digital of channels. I mean, the physical and the digital one. But if you want to move from a small amount of transaction to, I mean, to the kind of the world is right now, it's mandatory to have a lot and a strong digital channels. Please, if you can move to the next slide, Valeria, I will really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you again. Well, in this slide, we show what is called, or what we call, the net member satisfaction. I mean, there are some different methodologies in order to know if the service experience that a member lives in any kind of a channel, it's good or bad, to put it in simply. In some places, Net Promoter Score is one of the ways to measure this. We prefer the net member satisfaction because we can use the same methodology for both internal and external channels. So we follow this rule, but it's just to establish that we use this, but there are other methodologies which are maybe as good as this one, and maybe you can choose between or among many of them. Well, in Copeut, in order to measure the evaluation of the experience with Copeut, we use this concept, the net satisfaction, in which members evaluate us, assess us through all channels with grades from 1 to 7. Yeah, these are the scale we use in our country. Members who are satisfied rate us with grades of 6 and 7, only 6 and 7. 5 is neutral, I mean it's not considered, and scores between 1 and 4 imply dissatisfaction. So they were not happy with the service experience with Copeut. Then we just subtract satisfied minus dissatisfied, and then we obtain the net satisfaction. So in this graph, in this graph of this screen, no, it's not equivalent to the Net Promoter Score because it's different. Net Promoter Score has to be more with the recommendation. I mean, when you operate with or in an institution, and then if you are satisfied with the service, then you say, I'm happy with this institution, and then you can recommend that institution to others. We don't use, well, I mean, we use that methodology, but only for external uses, but it's very hard to adapt it to the internal measure. So we think that with this methodology it's easier because you can measure this net satisfaction of any area of the cooperatives. I mean, it's easier. I mean, for instance, if they provide you a service, you can be both a provider, a supplier, or maybe a client. So this methodology, we think at least, is more flexible and you can adapt it to any kind of situation. That's why we use it. And I think, or we think, that's more flexible for both users. So in the graph, we see that in general, net satisfaction moves at high levels, over 70% each year. There are, of course, some variations, but right now, nowadays, we are happy because thanks to some efforts focused on some specific sources of dissatisfaction, the trend, I mean, the line has been on the rise in the recent month. So we think that, I mean, our goal is to reach 80% of net satisfaction. We are now in 76. We think that we're going to end up this year about 78. But of course, any number over 80, I mean, I'm talking about not satisfied members, I'm talking about net satisfied members, it will be a really, really high mark. At least in our country, there are not too much companies we can say that they have reached this mark. It's very hard. And we think that this year, because all the investment we are making and many other things, we can reach the mark of 78 of net satisfaction for all the members. So I want you to remember this. I want you to remind this number, because this is a kind of in just one number we can summarize the whole experience of this 1.2 million of members. I mean, this is just a simple number. Of course, there are a lot of, I mean, you can do a lot of breakdowns of this number, but what I'm trying to solve here is that with just this simple number, you have an idea of the level of experience at first we are right now, but also the level of experience we want to achieve in the future or in the coming month or in the coming years. So if you can change to the other, please, Valerie. And this slide, we think is very important because, as I said, 76% of net satisfaction is very important and summarizes all our efforts in terms of experience. But when net satisfaction is opened by age, which is in this slide, both for digital in the left side and in branches in the right side channels, we see that it behaves in a way that people over 50 years of age consistently evaluate us better than younger people. That's the reality, at least in Coppeut. I wouldn't say in our country, maybe it's the same thing, I'm not quite sure, but at least in Coppeut, it is like is depicted in this graph. So that is to say that it's a segment, I mean, people over 50, that we must take care of because they feel that they are better served than competitors and they are better served than young people. I mean, maybe younger people are more critical about, I don't know, to wait in a line, or maybe they want something really fantastic in terms of digital channels. I don't know. But that's why this segment of people, I mean, people over 50 years of age, is very important for us. And also, it should be noted that for the most part, people over 50 years of age are the one who are visiting us in the branches. I mean, of course, there are different kind of people in the branch, but most people, at least in our country and in Coppeut, are over 50 years old. So it's key for us as an institution to be able to offer them the best possible service model in our offices, so they can continue to prefer us and to assess us with the highest rating. I mean, for us, it's very important to, of course, to offer a high level service for all the people we serve. But we know, and this is something that is happening. I mean, we are not forcing anybody to go to digital channel or maybe to branches, but these are just the numbers. I mean, people used to go to the branches, especially in regions. So we need to take care of them and we need to offer them the best possible service model in our branches. I mean, it's very, very important. And likewise, for people who are served only through digital channels, mainly younger, like I said, the strategy is different because we have a strong focus on the application, in the mobile application, because 2/3 of the transactions that today occur in this tool, they are made in the application. So, I mean, the application has been a focus of the 2024 year, and we have made some improvements. I mean, some improvements already have been seen. And because we have, I would say, an average of 50% of net satisfaction, which is not the quite mark we are reaching. I mean, this level don't leave us happy in the application, and we are working hard to improve it in a quick way. And at this point, I think I said something about it, but at this point, it's important to note that Copeut does not force or prevent members from doing what they want to do in any channel. I mean, we don't have some kind of incentives, or maybe we are not banning something or someone for doing something in A or B or C channel. I mean, members are free to go wherever they want to solve the need they have. We invite them to use the most appropriate channel according to what they are looking for, or the kind of benefits the member is reaching according to each particular case. I mean, if you want to move money from one account to the other, prefer the digital channel because it will be easier, safer, and so on. But maybe if you are applying for a mortgage, it will be better for you to talk with an advisor, with our executives, because I mean the kind of transaction involved in that experience, of course, is complex than just to move money from one account to the other. So, and I want to share with you in the picture behind this slide. I want to share with you an award that recently we got rewarding digital functionality in a very traditional product, which is savings. This award was received in USA a month ago, more or less, and of course we are very happy because this is the kind of ways that you mix both the physical and digital things, because the experience of savings accounts are lived in an important part, I would say, in the branches. And with this functionality, we put other functionalities in the digital channel. So FinTech America, which is the institution that recently awarded us, put this award because this digital functionality in this very traditional product. So if you can move to the other slide, I really appreciate it, Valerie. So, like I said, for us, the service level, the service experience, which is lived in branches, is really important. So we needed to strengthen this kind of attentional model. So to strengthen the face-to-face or the brand or the experience which is lived in the branches, we established a new role which is called, like stated in the slide, which is called the service executive. I mean, the role of the service executives was enabled, I would say, 10 months or so ago, and operated with the phygital philosophy. That is, although I mean, it's a person which is physically in the branch. I mean, it's like you see in the pictures in the left side of the screen. He or she has a device, it's a kind of tablet, that allows him or her to manage, live, I mean, in real time, the needs of members who need to solve, I would say, simple things that is quick and low complexity assistance. I mean, if you need to know your balance, if you need to, I don't know, something which is quick, this profile, the executive service, approaches you and try to solve what you need. And this have, I'd say, a lot of advantages. For instance, deriving this type of attention to this new role allows, of course, that traditional executives to be freed from this workload, allow them to dedicate with greater focus or with bigger focus to more complex issues like the advice, the sale of credits, or maybe to encourage relationships typicals that are from our cooperative model. And at this point, I want to share with you that it's very important to highlight that this role of quick assistance without the technology, I mean without the digital thing, wouldn't have the same coverage, both in number of attentions or their effectiveness. Along these lines, it must be also highlighted that the role of these quick services not only delivers and solves, I mean, that's of course its key principles, but in each service, it seeks to educate, to train our members in the use of digital platforms. Because if you think people who attend branches, for the most part, are not digitized. So that's a key role we think we have to do in the branch. I mean, try to educate in the use of our digital platforms. And in fact, a key functionality is the enablement of the members in Copeut digital solutions. So in the future, the member can take care of himself on the issues they want to solve. And for him or for her, it will be easier to solve because in that way, they will save time and money. And of course, for us, for Copeut, it helps us in order to descongestionate the branch of people with some issues that are easy to others. I mean, we want to solve, which is something evident. I mean, try to solve in a quick way some kind of attentions which are, I mean, not very complex, but also we are leaving sometimes to the regular executives for more complex assistance, like selling a credit or maybe another kind of things that will leave in the cooperative model in the branches. I mean, if you can read in the slide, we put in the right side of the screen, I would say the main services that are brought by this profile. And I would say that enable members in the digital channels is the most important one, because in this place, this profile can create the digital key, can recover maybe some members are blocked because, I mean, they cannot operate in the digital channel. So if they don't want to call us in the contact center or something, they can go to the branch, which is near the neighborhood or something. And I mean, because they trust us, they go to the branch and trust in us to solve their problem in terms of the use of the digital channels. Please, the next slide, Valeria. Thank you again. So I would say that all that I've been telling you in this presentation, in this pre-presentation, it has been very positive for us and for the member, because if you can see in the slide, since the last quarter of the past year and until now, we see that with this new branch service, I mean, with the establishment of this new role, this role of this quick service assistance, has allowed improvements in the numbers, which is of course sought by all of us. It has helped to reduce the waiting times for all members, not only people attended by this role, but also the other profiles, because I mean, those issues, I mean, the not complex ones, can be quickly resolved with almost no waiting time. And to those who are attended by the traditional executive, has been positive too, because the lines, the queues, are smaller as they are partially absorbed by the role of this quick service. And think, I mean, for people who visit us on any branch, it will be, or they will live a better experience than before. In fact, the net satisfaction of both roles is very good. It has been improved this year, like we can see in the right side of the screen. I mean, what I want to note here is that this role has been positive not only for people who is attending with this one, but also people who come to the branch to do anything else, because he has he will be have more time with the regular executive in order to solve more complex things. And finally, because I think that we are reaching the established time of this Spark, I just want to finish with some conclusions, some, I would say, some recommendations or some positive aspects that we have seen after the establishment of these improvements in both digital and branches, or in this phygital approach. Can you move to the final slide, please? Well, so in summary, cooperative has been growing in transactions over the time, and as we have seen in the different slides, the contribution of the digital channel has been decisive, has been key in order to achieve that. Otherwise, it wouldn't be impossible to do it. And although the percentage of face-to-face or branch transactions, of course, is much lower than digital ones, the kind of attentions that the member is looking for concentrate type of services that require more advice, that promote or build a stronger relationship with people. And we think that this is key to reinforce the cooperative identity. And we think this is a key advantage compared with the other institutions. And as we saw in some slides, members which are 50 years old or maybe older than that, they rank us, they put a higher grade in the experience than younger people. So for us, this group of people is very important in order to have a good net satisfaction with the whole community. I mean, we should have them in our plans. And in this line, the phygital approach stands out because we can use it to establish a way to better serve members in our branches, and the improvement in service through the new digital capabilities is highly valued, for example, with this quick attention role. And in this line, like is stated in the slide, this role has reinforced the work of our regular executive, improving the overall experience and waiting times in branches. So we think that with this project, which is established nowadays in about half of our net, service experience live in branches have improved a lot. And we think we can at least keeping, or maybe if we have enough budget to do it, to expand it all over the whole net of branches. So, I mean, this is the last slide, and I don't want to take you more time than what is established. But anyway, if you have any kind of a question, I can help, and we have enough time to do it. I'm in your hands, Valeria, and the floor now is yours. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Carlos, for this interesting spark. Indeed, as you talk about digital and how it's important to take care of your customer according to his needs and to its age. I guess that from our side here in Europe, we know that we're aging population, but I'm realizing also with our Argentinian, Brazilian, and Chilean colleagues that it's also a reality more and more concrete also in Latin American countries. So when you say that taking care of your population of plus 50, it brings me to a first question. But before I ask it, maybe I would like also to see or to hear from the other colleagues. If you have any questions for Carlos, any remarks, if you want to share your reality, what you are experiencing in your countries. You can also write it on the chat if you feel more comfortable. So I will go with my first question. Again, the experience, what you just said is that having the experience within the branches brings then also your customers to still have a look on what is happening in the digital world, and it creates a dynamism of self-service, but also of continuing going back to the branches, I guess, to exchange on whatever can arise as a point for your customers. My question would be, what do you think, or is it of importance to still focus on the youngsters? Would it make sense for still for the, as you see that this contact face to face enhances the relationship and also the service and the products for Copeuche, would it still make sense to be in contact, direct contact with the youngsters instead of only serving them digital? And if you believe so, what would you think that could be done to attract youngsters within your banks, as you see that is positive results for you, and as you just said, maybe expanding still the network of branches? Voilà.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Valerie. Of course, we think that younger people or young people is always important for any kind of institution because they are the future. So we need to focus on them. We need to offer them solutions, which most of them will be digital ones. I mean, maybe you, maybe most of us have kids or maybe nephews or whatever. And when you talk to any of them, I mean, to young people about institution, a service, or something like that, first thing they do is to look for it over the net. I mean, they enter Google or whatever. So if you are not available in digital channels, maybe you don't exist. I mean, I would say that it's almost that you will be not noted in the ecosystem. So it's very important to have powerful digital channels in order to serve young people. But there is, you said something which is also important because sometimes we all know that digital channels are very powerful. We all of us need it in order to support the operations. I mean, otherwise it will be impossible to support the operation. But we have that human touch, and we invite some people, even young people, to come to our branches in order to know what we live in the branches. And you touch an important point, which is that this feeling of being part of something bigger, which is the cooperative, is only live or is mostly live in a physical way. Because there is a key challenge. How can we translate, how we can put all the cooperative values in a digital application? because sometimes you enter Apple Store or maybe Google Store and you see a lot of applications of financial institutions. So which could be the difference, in the operation of any of those solutions? Because if you download it in your cell phone, all of them are going to work in the same way, or at least in similar ways. So the key challenge here is how can you differentiate from the other people because we are cooperatives or cooperative banks. And that's a key thing that I would say that in the most part is reached only with this physical or maybe this human touch. And also, at least in our country, especially people over 50, not the young ones, because they don't need it yet. When you see, a kind of building, you see the facility, you see something physical, you say to yourself, this company really exists. Young people, maybe they approach us because they need an account, or maybe they need something which is, I would say, simple. But maybe if they want to apply for a credit, it will be different, because even though they can do it digitally, we have a lot of journeys. We have a lot of digital journeys in order to apply for a credit. But sometimes if you want, for instance, a special rate, or maybe a special consideration in terms of risk, because maybe your behavior wasn't good enough, so you have some marks in the system and things like that. The only way to solve this is by talking with our advisors. Or at least it will be easier. So I think that for younger people, also it will be at least a tool or a kind of card they can play if they need it. So I see two hands, and thank you very much for the question, Valeria.
Thank you, Carlos. Yes, Danilo, you were, if it's okay for you, Fatima, let's, as he was first. Please, Danilo.
Thank you. I asked it first in Spanish and then in English. ¿Cuál es el porcentaje de las ventas de sus productos que se realizan mediante plataformas digitales y cuántos presencialmente? Si se tiene más o menos un tipo de estadística. Y después te quería consultar con respecto a la utilización en su país de criptomonedas, si se está usando, si el mercado es chico o el mercado es grande. Ahí lo digo en inglés, como me salga, a ver si se entiende. One question, what percentage of your product sales is made through digital platform, and how much in person, and how is the current situation regarding the use of cryptomonedas in your country? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Danilo, for your question. It's a very interesting one. Well, the answer is not general, because it depends in the kind of product that people is operating or trying to operate. For instance, in terms of consumer loans in installments, I'm not talking about credit card. I'll say that about or over 90% of the sale is made with digital tools, with some digital tool. We have a kind of tablet which runs an application, what we call Atomo. Yeah, in that application, everything that happens in a digital way. Maybe some of that journey could finally end up in a branch, because maybe the member is looking for something special, or maybe he or she has some of the issues I depicted in a few moments ago. But what I'm trying to say is that most of at least the beginning of the sale is started in a digital channel in any way. And we also have a kind of a digital branch, which is not, of course, physically. It's not a building, it's not a facility, but it's a collection of people which assist you in a digital way. They can contact you using or through WhatsApp, and they can try to solve all your needs using that platform. Through that platform, you can upload for instance, your incomes, or maybe some certificates, or any other kind of information we might need in order to assess you and try to establish if you can apply for the loan. So I would say, to summing up, for the most part, the consumer loans are sold mostly in a digital way in any of its different flavors. In terms of mortgages, I would say that the whole process is lived mostly in a branch, because there are a lot of sub-processes which are involved in order to sell a mortgage. So some of those processes are supported by external entities, I mean, different from Copeut, which are sadly not digital. Most of the processes involved requires a sign, I mean, a digital sign, or maybe you need to go to a lawyer or things like that. So in the case of mortgages, the thing is, I would say 100% or about that physically live. In terms of accounts, like our site account, everything happens in a digital environment, because you can, I mean, if you're not a member of our cooperative, you have our platform and you can enroll it through digital channels. And in the same process, you can apply for a digital account, which is a very straightforward process. In terms of savings accounts, it's about the same, but you have a huge stock, which is currently in our cooperative, but it was open years ago in a branch. So we had a mix in that product. And if you want to apply, for instance, to an insurance, it will be made also in a digital environment. And maybe if you want some investment products like mutual funds, also you can apply to any of them using our digital platform. So I would say that most of our attention could be delivered in digital platforms, but mortgages, but the rest could be, it is available through digital channels. Maybe you as a member, you can choose between using digital or maybe physical channels. I mean, it's up to you, but at least you got the options to do it digitally. But we have noted that, like I explained in the presentation, that people over 50 is in a, I think that sometimes they hesitate and they prefer to go to attend a branch, because sometimes they want just to talk with someone, and they want to, I don't know, to get more convenient features for both credits and savings products. So that is.
Thanks for your
Fatima, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, thank you, Valeria. Thank you, Carlos, for this very meaningful study. It's not a question, it's just I want to share perhaps the idea and reacting to this interesting topic. Thank you once again for bringing this into the table. I think that this digital, as you call it, digital approach is very, yes, it's very interesting, and not just for senior population or people over 15, because of course for this population we know that digital has already done their facts, and today it's something in our habits. But we have to keep in mind that this population didn't grow with this digitalization, and we are talking about people who are growing a little bit in age. We will be in this stage perhaps in a few years. Just if we do a simple analysis of behavior in customer behavior, visual acuity decrease maybe in this age, the dexterity may be reduced with digital tools, and perhaps this kind of physical symptoms can be different just because of fear to do some mistakes with digital tools. So I think, in my opinion, to have this phygital approach is very, very important, because they can help these people to to be more into this experience, to not be afraid of making some mistakes, and also especially when it comes to money, it's people are prefer or have more trust in their classical banker, which with him there is some relationships, physical and one-to-one. It is more trustful. I think it is irrelevant. But what I want to highlight also is, even with the people who younger people, and I noticed in your data, the metrics that you show us in the beginning, that even the numbers are low for people who are around the 20 and 30 years old. I think it is also important for these people, because maybe they already have account, but at this stage of life, people become active, and for most of them, it is their first banking experience, and the relationship with the bank as an institution should be more personalized and customer, and it is perhaps the moment to establish the trust relationship. It could be done just within the digitalized tools. I think that here the human is important to be involved in this relationship, and it become more relevant perhaps in this stage of age. So we have the younger people and the senior people. Maybe between people get used to banking services. They are more used to and more confident in the relationship with all the transaction. But perhaps in the beginning and not the end, are more early in the experience, we should have a focused attention, and that's why in my opinion, including people, human touch in those particular state of life are very relevant. And thank you.
Thank you very much for your analysis of this approach, because we all know that digital channels are important, and we didn't want to talk about it because we all know that digital channels are powerful, and we all of us need them. So I think it's just stated, and it's not a novelty for any of us. But the thing here is that, especially for, I wouldn't say older, because I would say just the common person, at least in our economies, maybe they don't trust in financial services. Maybe they don't trust enough in banking services, especially if they are putting their money, for instance, in an account, or maybe in a time deposit or things like that, because he, as a person, is trusting in an institution. So it's very different when you do that in an institution that you can see. I mean, you cross to the other sidewalk, and maybe you see in this case, the cooperative logo, the cooperative facility, rather than just a digital institution. I think trust is important here, and in order to develop that trust, but also to educate our members. That's why this role we have in branches, I think, is helping us in order to enroll more people in digital channels, and in that way they can do a kind of mixture. I mean, we can trust us using the digital channels, and also they can go or they can attend to a branch, to any of our branches, in order to do different kind of things. But young people, at least at the beginning of their life, in terms of their financial life, of course, they start with a digital account, and they don't want to go, they don't want to mess going to any branch, because they want anything quick in their cell phone, fast. I mean, a very powerful tool, and so on. So I would say that the key challenge, of course, is to offer them a powerful application in which they can perform whatever they want, but also doing that, try to establish, try to create the bond, this relationship with our institutions, because otherwise it would be the same thing that you feel with any other kind of financial institution. I mean, we are cooperatives, and we have to establish, even though you are being servicing by this application, we have to establish that there are some differences. For instance, some maybe minor or maybe stupid things like, hello, how are you, member, not client, things like that. I mean, you can develop some tips in order to create this bond, because otherwise it will be seen only as another application from our stores.
Yeah, I do agree. It's another way to consider the customer relationship. It's to create connection and not treat them as yes, to have a connection, to have a story to tell. I completely agree with you, because the young people, all of people, in fact, needs to more proximity or closeness, and kind of attention, consideration, and not just be treated as a customer. They are all used to this, and something more personal.
You're right. Totally agree.
Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Fatima. I think it raises indeed also a societal and demographical debate and philosophical debate of what you just explained, and it concerns us all. So also what is the world we want to build for tomorrow? So, but this is a broader topic also. Is there any other questions or any points that you want to raise or share what is happening again in your own institutions? So if not, I would suggest that we close the Spark session here. Thank you very much again for everyone attending this Spark. Carlos, thank you very much for your input on it. And indeed, personally, what I feel again is that you are proud of what Copeuche is doing, and we feel that you are so close to your clients, members, and stakeholders, and being updated. And what is nice also with the prize that you received in the US as Digital America is that also you are attracting, the price attracts what you are doing, and people are following also what the banks are doing in society. So it's good that you shared this with us as a role also of the cooperative banks to be close to their population. So it's nice to be noticed in this positive case. You will all receive the presentation of Carlos later today. So if you would like to still ask some questions to Carlos or understand what else Copeuche is developing more into details, don't hesitate to contact Carlos directly. His email will be found in the email that you will receive. So again, thank you very much to everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Maybe it's already lunchtime for you. So all the best.
For us.
And we see each other so end of June with our Austrian member. Thank you.
Nice.
Bye-bye.